Young ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all. Once again, you are welcome here on the platform of Awakening of Consciousness. So this is the headline of international news. Burkina Faso directly responds to one of the American officials who has just attacked the Burkinabe regime on this April 3rd, 2025. You know, the Americans, the Westerners, never stop interfering in the management of our various nations. It is the head of the American Military Command Unit, residing, of course, in Côte d'Ivoire, who is meddling in the management of Burkina Faso's mineral resources. Because we told them to leave, because we asked for France's departure, they must use all means to show the world that the regime in place in Burkina Faso is one that should not be trusted. So it is a way for them to discredit and cast anathema on President Ibrahim-Traoré's regime in order to push the population to detest and hate the entrenched revolution in Burkina Faso. So, what did this general say? And what was the response that Burkina Faso gave? This is what we will discuss in this video conference. But before continuing, I ask you to share the video conference as much as possible, without reservation. Share it in all possible groups. Yes. And above all, give it a lot of likes. For all those who have not yet subscribed to the page, I ask you to subscribe to the page. Make every effort to activate the notification bell. So, let's go. It concerns the head of the United States Africa Command, US AFRICOM. And what is this gentleman's name? This American general? His name it's General Langley. General Langley. In a statement released yesterday, April 15th, 2025, Burkina Faso made a point to respond to this general. Well, personally, I don't see the reason why Burkina Faso would respond. But let's first see what this general said. What needs to be said is that it was the Burkinabe Ministry of Foreign Affairs that issued a formal denial, following the statements made at the beginning of April by General Langley, who is the head of the United States Africa Command. You know, America has a command, a military unit for Africa, whose headquarters was transferred to Côte d'Ivoire. If I'm not mistaken, it was quite recently. And it has a leader. What did this gentleman say? This gentleman said that he said that the mineral resources of Burkina Faso, as well as some revenues from cooperation with China, thus the Burkina-China operation, would not benefit the population and would rather serve to protect the regime in place. Here's what he had to say. We know that in Burkina Faso, there is mining exploitation. We also know that in Burkina Faso, there is cooperation with China, which brings in a lot of revenue. Let's say more or less revenue. But these revenues are so carefully and well utilized by the regime of Ibrahim Traoré that Burkina positions itself as one of the key forces in the sub-region. That's one. Secondly, today, Burkina Faso is gradually beginning its development as the fight against terrorism is making great strides. Already, it should be noted that, speaking of the army's positioning, Burkina Faso has equipped its army with state-of-the-art military equipment. Besides that, in terms of nuclear energy, Burkina Faso has initiated its activities. All the papers have been signed with Rosatom, the Russian giant. So, we can clearly see where the money is going. Moreover, we do not see President Ibrahim Traoré leading a luxurious life. He lives as simply as possible. So, America does not want to see that. They predicted the failure of Burkina, the Sahel states, The opposite is happening. And that's why this general clearly states that the money from the mines and the revenues from cooperation with China would not benefit the population, that it only serves to protect the current power. Let's tell the truth. What does this general want? What does America want? The first thing a state must do is protect itself and its power. Did they want or do they want Ibrahimtraoré to leave his power just like that so they can easily overthrow him? Share this video conference with me. All Burkinabés, I ask you to share because they want to plant an idea in the minds of Burkinabés. I am very clear about this. Listen carefully. They want to plant an idea in the minds of Burkinabés. And the idea is a thought. It settles, it germinates, and it starts to grow. If you allow time and opportunity for this idea to take root, little by little, unconsciously, people will embrace this idea and will start to oppose the regime. And bam, if you're not careful, revolts will arise. May God protect us from that. That's the system that is being planned. Even someone who doesn't live in Burkina Faso, how is it that they know the realities of Burkina Faso as well as the Burkinabés themselves? But let's go step by step. It's mandatory to protect the current power because they want to send them to eternal rest. That is, first and foremost, the primary concern of Burkina, and it's not bad. That's one. Secondly, Ibrahimtraoré is not just protecting his power or securing himself, no. The priority has been to invest in the army. They have invested in the army. After the army, other aspects of development are being addressed by Burkina Faso. What do they concretely want? For the Burkinabés to understand that they are in a new strategy. They have seen that the fight against the terrorists is starting to bear fruit. They have seen that all the coups they prepared against Ibrahimtraoré have failed. Now, they must resort to disinformation, planting strange ideas in the minds of the people to incite them to revolt. So the implosion must start from within. Let's go. Be very careful, dear Burkinabés. Let's proceed with Burkina Faso's response. It should be noted that these remarks were made by the head of AFRICOM on April 3rd during a hearing before a U.S. Senate committee. So it was before the U.S. Senate that he spoke. Burkina responds in a statement that all revenues from mining operations are now deposited into the state coffers and are subject to rigorous and transparent management. And Burkina denounces the statements of Michel Langley, the general in question, and Burkinabe diplomacy advocates for a frank and respectful dialogue based on verified information and an objective understanding of the situation in the country. Here is the response that, obviously, Burkina has just given. Can you imagine someone who doesn't live in Burkina saying anything about Burkina Faso? I don't know, as I was saying at the beginning of the video conference, what interest the Burkinabe regime finds in justifying itself to the Americans. I really don't see the reason. I don't see the point. No, not at all. Burkina is a sovereign state. Those who want to verify can come. The documents are available, since the administration operates based on documents. President Ibrahimtraoré is not like Volodymyr Zelensky, who is sent money and then uses it elsewhere to buy properties in the Cayman Islands and other places. President Ibrahimtraoré is a patriotic president. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the headline news. Thank you for sharing it as much as possible. I will be back shortly with more news. This was the voice of your one and only samurai.